It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 499. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hello.
Yeah, it's kind of a sober week.
A bit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, basically.
Yes.
Ditto.
Anyhow.
Games.
Also, welcome back, Ammo, from Japan.
Yay, thank you. We had a fantastic time.
Good.
We checked out a lot of arcades and just kind of had a nice time hanging out in Tokyo. And yeah, man, Japanese arcades. Good stuff. Good
God, they're
stuff.
so good.
Loud stuff.
Why can't we have those things?
We kind of do.
We do now, sort of.
Yeah.
They're getting there. I mean, but round ones in Japan are still... Wow.
Yeah. Round one here is trying.
Maybe they'll get there. They are certainly trying.
I wish there was one open near me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Dave & Buster's is starting to get some licenses for Japanese games, but that's not really the same thing. I know they're the only other place in the U.S. that has licenses for DDR at the moment. And I think they're also getting Taiko, if I remember correctly.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like we have a couple retro barcades, but that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe someday. Yeah, round one keeps trying, and it was just... We had a nice time, had lots of delicious ramen, lots of delicious konbini food. It was good. And of course, the Eorzea Cafe, and we managed to win the golden cactpot, which was huge.
It's ludicrous.
It was huge.
It's honey toast and stuff larger than your head.
Ice cream, the honey toast. The bread was still warm. It was just, it was fantastic. There were three of us, and we managed to finish most of it, but not quite all of it, even with three of us.
The first time I heard the phrase honey toast, I had no idea the item that was being referred to here.
Yeah, yes. It is so rare that I see a dish that makes me, an American, go, ooh, that seems overly decadent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely on the list.
Yeah, from a country
so.
that isn't us. Like, there's plenty of stuff that I look at in the US and I'm like, oh my God, why do we do this to ourselves? But like, rarely do I do I see something in another country where I'm like, that might be too much for me.
Yeah.
That's definitely on the list.
Yeah, this was definitely, I would say, extreme. But it was so good. It was so good. So yeah, definitely highlight. But also more or less happy to be back. It was a good trip. But yeah.
So Pokemon TCG Pocket has kind of spread in a Pokemon Go similar fashion the last week or two. I don't know how long this has actually been out.
Not very long in the US.
Yeah, like just the end of last week. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you heard about it, it was new for the US.
Because it felt like I was behind.
No.
But
by maybe by a few hours, but that's it.
Okay. It's been really interesting because I had not played Pokemon TCG since the early days of WotC with the first 4 expansions. And it's been interesting to get kind of back into the swing of it. And I like the Hearthstonification of it.
I've been following some of it with, since I know Kodra is getting into it, but I also had not played properly since the WotC days.
Oh, like the proper TC, the normal TCG?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had
It's
played
wild.
some. I had played some like up until around when Fossil came out. So yeah,
Yeah, I played
very
some
very early
Fossil was the second expansion.
because it was jungle then Fossil, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like I had some jungle, I had some fossil, and I had some Team Rocket, which I think was
I think
what,
that was
third
a little
expansion?
later, but I definitely had both of those and then kept going for a little while after.
But anyway, like definitely not modern Pokemon TCG.
Yeah.
Modern Pokemon TCG is a thing.
And yeah, this app is a bit of a distillation of that. You play to 3 points instead of 6 prize cards. Energy is generated automatically for you every turn rather than there being energy cards.
I do like that. That is a good change.
Yeah, that's why I refer to it as Hearthstonification, because that's kind of what happened with Hearthstone, where you got like auto energy increases every turn.
It's quite nice.
Like, I still feel like Magic would be better if you had a land deck and a spells deck, and you just got a land every turn.
It would definitely be a different game. I think it would probably be a better game, but it would definitely be a different game.
Yeah, I think it would be. There's a thing with Pokemon TCG Pocket and the way that it handles its energy and so forth that kind of validates an opinion that I had. There's an event currently going on that's like play some matches against random other people, which I normally have absolutely no taste for, but the fact that the game has literally zero way to communicate with another human being
Other than thanking them.
other than
Yes.
other than thanking them, which everyone just does.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
That's right.
Is honestly pretty great. Like, it makes me not hate the idea of playing against another person. But there's no skill-based matchmaking that I can tell.
Yeah, like it's real obvious, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm getting wrecked.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't really touch it until I had a deck that I felt was reasonably good and was like firing on all cylinders. And when I stopped playing last night, I was 25-1.
What deck?
Gardevoir Mewtwo EX.
Oh, that deck is
Oh my.
real strong.
Gross.
And it's just, and like I spent some time to like really hone it in on like let's do the thing that I don't normally do and like cut any. There's only 3 Pokemon in that deck. That's it. Nothing else matters. Everything else is cards to help me get those Pokemon and give me tools to work with. And yes, it's like it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean when I say Magic would be a different game, because if you could reliably have your 5 or whatever cards you actually need and get the lands to play them exactly as you want, that's a very different game you're playing.
Yes. The gap between my deck and somebody's like this is the cards I have deck is it's like painfully stark.
Yeah, I mean, so your deck is doing the thing that, hey, you've cheated the resource curve, and you're you've basically built the old school Charizard deck, where you are putting 2 energy on a Charizard every turn and killing people with it.
Yeah, one-shotting literally anything my opponent puts out.
Because you get at least one from what is it, the turn, and then you get one from a Gardevoir.
Yeah.
When Charizard was like, when the game was brand new, when Charizard was a real thing, it was because it was possible to cheat the resources. So you could get the 2 resources on Charizard. Nothing else had 100 health. So anything you pointed it at just died.
And one of the things that I've noticed from it is that the only decks I play against that give me any sort of struggle at all are people who are playing the exact same deck I am.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to the first turn coin, to like who gets the first turn coin flip, because getting first turn is bad.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
There is no benefit to going first. Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Going first is
Can't you play energy on the first turn in the normal Pokemon TCG?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You just can't attack.
Yes, this is a mistake they made.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, first turn is just bad. So if I'm playing my exact deck or close enough to my exact deck, then it's just who won the coin flip. And the only two other decks that have given me any problem, and in fact one of them is my only loss, is electric decks that are based on can you flip a bunch of coins and get heads.
I mean, statistically, sometimes you will.
Yeah, sometimes you will. One time one person got one chance to roll 3 heads, and if they rolled 3 heads on 4 coins, they won, and if not, I won. And they happened to roll 3 heads on 4 coins. I'm like, all right, well, that's how it goes, I guess. And the other one is basically the same thing. It's like a Diglett deck that I forget. I think it's Doug Trio maybe that has an attack that does not a lot of damage, but on a coin flip makes the Pokemon immune to damage on the next turn. And so if they just roll heads all the time, then there's literally nothing I could do unless I can force that Pokemon off of the board. So I'm just like waiting to get the card that I need to stop that.
Just waiting to pull Sabrina.
Yeah, exactly. And like those are really the only decks that have put any kind of real challenge, and that suggests to me that there are definitely, as with most of these games, there are definitely deck tiers. But the fact that things like energy are so reliable means that deck tiering is much, much starker.
Yep.
And so there is no real chance for a less well-tuned or a less focused deck than mine to win against you.
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to happen. And that's just because I there's enough control. Like it's not even really a like skill on my part. It's just there's enough variables that I can control for that as long as I don't make a mistake, it's just a better deck, and the better deck always wins.
You have 20 cards. 4 of them are either draw 2 cards or draw 1 card.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have 16 cards you're putting in there, and then you're you're probably putting in. Are you just putting in 2 Ralts, 2 Corellia, 2 Gardevoir, 2 Mewtwo EX, and then 12? What?
2 of the Ralts, 2 Gardevoir line, 2 Mewtwo EXs, and 2 Jinxes.
Jinx. Okay, I wasn't sure what you're. And then I'm guessing X speed, 2x speed.
Yeah, 2x speed, 2 Sabrina, 2 Giovanni, 2 professors, whatever, 2 Pokeballs, and 1 potion.
Oh, that sounds like 21 cards.
Oh, I think I dropped the potion, maybe?
Okay. I was like, do you drop a potion or do you drop a Jinx? I don't know. Actually, what does Giovanni
This is the deck
do?
that I keep coming up against. Yeah, like I did not know what this deck was until you started describing its parts, and like, this is all I ever come up against.
Yeah, it is
the only
it's the deck that wins.
The only like unique thing that I'm doing is playing the Jinx, and the Jinx serves a very specific role, which is it's a shield if I need to build up my board state. And it punishes people for putting energy on their frontline Pokemon.
I'm out here playing my super casual Bulbasaur deck because I like Bulbasaur and getting just wrecked.
I was about to say the problem with Jinxes is that the Mewtwo EX you want to punish is only ever going to have 2 energy on it because it discards 2 of them on its turn.
Yeah, but it's not there for that. It's there for Zapdos.
Yeah, okay, fair. I mean,
it's there for anything that wants to put 2 or 3 energy on itself. And
I'm
very
looking
low risk for me
to shark the meta, and I'm always looking to be like, okay, what is this? What is Mewtwo EX's weakness? And it's pretty limited.
The best luck I've had against a deck like that is when I managed to finagle Raichu up. Because if I can get 3 energy spread around my Pokemon, and then swap Pikachu
Surge it on,
turn him into Raichu, Lieutenant Surge, your Mewtwo goes down. But
and that is also what the Jinx is for. If you are too slow, then I punish you for that. And if you get like a Pikachu EX or a Raichu going, then I can deal appreciable damage with the Jinx if you don't take the Jinx down. And if you do take the Jinx down, then I get the blood blow.
Gardevoir is, I think, kind of unique in its energy acceleration in that it's an ability. And like the only other people I know who are like accelerating energy have to use their attack to do so.
I mean, either that or they are only putting it on themselves. Like
there's Magneton, yeah.
Oh, Magneton? Okay.
Magneton can accelerate itself the exact same way Gardevoir can do to other things.
Interesting. Misty can do it for blue Pokemon, but then you have to get lucky.
Coin flips, yep.
Yeah, you have to do coin flips.
And, I ended up building this deck because Gardevoir was the first actually good Pokemon that I got, and mostly I had hot garbage. So I spent like the first week I was playing this game putting energy on a Kangaskhan, or a
Chansey.
Chansey, yeah.
I was gonna say,
it wasn't good, but it worked.
This is also the role of Gardevoir in actual Pokemon, the other version of Pokemon TCG, and it's way more nasty and degenerate there. But everything's way more nasty and degenerate there, so it's okay. In which she has the ability, as many times as you want, you can take an energy from your discard and attach it to a psychic energy and attach it to one of your psychic Pokemon. This deals 20 damage to them. So you
take the energy from your second hand and put it on your Pokemon.
So, and one of the big things with both of these games actually is that there are extra powerful versions of Pokemon. In Pokemon Pocket, it's only EXs. But in Pokemon, the TCG, they have like V Star, V Max, EX, GX. There's a whole bunch of different ways that's like, this is a powerful version of this Pokemon. And almost all of them has a rule box that says if this Pokemon gets knocked out, the opponent gets more prize cards or more points for doing so. And so the trick with a Gardevoir EX is that is a card that is sitting on your bench and not going out and fighting itself. And they are sending out regular Pokemon to do all of the work. And so those regular Pokemon do not give that many prize cards and do ridiculous amounts of damage.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying collecting cards. I think their digital scene within a card is very cool.
Yeah,
those are
beautiful.
They the card has just this very picturesque full art thing, but then it's you once it lands, you can click on the card and it takes you all around. The art expands and you can see deeper into the picture, and there's a more complete story being told. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. It's one of those things that you can do in a digital card game that you can't do in a real card game, and it's extremely cool for it. Even if I am a little sick of the Pikachu EX one that I had to play 40 times in a row last night for my daughter.
Monster Hunter Wilds beta.
So yeah, this is the thing that happened a little over a week ago. Monster Hunter Wilds had its first public showing in the form of an open beta for all platforms, as far as I know, although it launched a bit earlier for PS Plus. It showed basically the intro to the game, and then let you free to explore a few more monsters, play around a bit more if you wanted to. A lot of people, one of the big flagship monsters, Raydao, a big lightning dragon, is available. And it was available in the demo. So there's a lot of footage on YouTube of people fighting that, because the other monsters were a little simpler. I am definitely going to be picking this up. I'm not sure how much that was really in question, but now it is not in question.
Well, yeah, this one just feels like the direct sequel to Worlds. It's just more of that, and it feels good.
It's clearly based on World rather than I don't know if you played Rise, but Rise was sort of back to the old style.
Yeah, Rise felt like I was playing Ultimate or any of those games.
back to 4 or Ultimate or something like that. Generations, I suppose.
This one is available on all of the things.
Is available on basically all the things and has crossplay. Not
Yes.
cross-save, but does have crossplay.
And they're not doing the bullshit thing where they release the PC later. It's just on all the things.
So I can
That's good.
play it on PC. That's nice.
Yeah. You will not forever be behind the consoles. But yeah, like I'm super amped for that because like Ash, I know you prefer to play on PlayStation. I prefer to
do,
play
in
on
fact.
PC. We'll be able to play together on our platform of choice.
Yeah, I never really got into Monster Hunter when I picked it back up on PC. Another thing is that they did make changes to all the weapons and of a varying severity, let's say. Some weapons are changed a little bit. I want to say dual blades. What do I even give as an example of a weapon that's changed a little bit? None of the weapons I played changed a little bit. All the weapons I played changed a lot. I guess Sword and Shield didn't change that much, and also the bowguns didn't change that much. My main weapons, though, lances got a bit of a rework. They removed the sort of counter stance and gave you perfect guard. So, like, you counter out a perfect guard now. And in addition, they extended the combo, which is going to take me, it's ruining, like, years of muscle memory now that there is a 4-hit rather than a 3-hit main combo. And dual blades changed in that almost everything that stuck you to the ground in a world no longer does. So dual blades has this thing where you go into demon mode, a thing that previously you could not do while moving, and it changes all of your attacks to be a little better but drains your stamina. So you do attacks in demon mode to fill a gauge, and you go into archdemon mode, which is sort of like half demon mode despite the name, which lets you use some of those attacks without having to spend stamina. The big thing is that in the demon mode or archdemon mode, you can do demon dance or a sort of demon flurry. That is no longer one long attack. It's now, in demon mode is 3 attacks, and in archdemon mode is 2 attacks. And you can actually flow between the 2 of them now to go transfer into and out of demon mode a little easier. It makes the weapon play rather differently than it did previously. Gunlance is a weapon I've never really gotten into, but given the changes it got, I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I think that might be a thing I'm strongly looking forward to. Things like a guard point when you reload, and extra charges of Wyvern's Fire, the really big explosion attack, and the ability for a normal person to understand the damage it does when you hit the fire the gun button. We'll see if that remains true. There are a bunch of people who are... There seems to be a trend I'm seeing that if World was your first game, all of the changes to weapons are new and frightening. And if World was not your first game, it's just another set of changes to the weapons.
I mean, Longsword felt fairly similar.
It's funny, because I think I'd say Longsword is one of the more changed ones, because they give you new attacks you have when you're at red gauge now. Additional counters, although admittedly most of those are from Rise. Rise added a bunch of counters to Longsword, and they kept them for this.
Yeah, I also played Longsword in Rise, so...
That's fair.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like, it felt comfortable enough. It was fine.
They did add another big attack if you land the Helmbreaker while you start in red, though, which it looks so anime. Like, I can barely believe this thing.
The biggest thing that I noticed was that the controls for PC are much better than they were previously for Longsword. Like, the default buttons make sense, whereas I previously had to, like, rebind basically everything.
The default buttons for World, if you played it when it originally came out, were completely whack. I eventually started trying to play that with a controller, too.
I think this comes out, in February?
Yeah, it's in February, so there's still a lot of time.
So is this a demo that you've been playing?
It was in open beta last weekend.
Yeah, you could have previously just went out on Steam and said, like, let me in, and it let you in.
I'm sure they'll do another one. Normally they have a demo closer to release, so this was a little further out than they've ever let people want to play these before. Usually said demo will let people try all the weapons, give access to like a training area, whatever. I do expect them to still do this. They just haven't done it yet.
I want to say, like, this gave you a charm or something like that in the release game if you played it.
It gives you a plushy Palico cosmetic, I believe, if you played open beta.
Yeah, like, I was playing other things last weekend, so I basically made it as far as finishing the story where I got the thank you for playing, but I didn't do any of the individual quests after that?
I messed around with it a little bit. Mostly, I was interested in seeing the character creator, which has borrowed heavily from Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, it's a lot more character creator than they've had in Monster Hunter previously.
Yeah, like I was able to create a perfectly cromulent looking character rather than choose these 4 prefabs. Like on the handheld Monster Hunter games, I have been team old guy because there's basically the old guy preset.
Yeah, those games would not. Character customization was not really a thing in most of those. Not really.
So I think like there's been a running theme this week of us all needing some version of comfort gaming, whatever that is for us. And this week on, God, I don't even remember what day it started. I think it was just Friday.
I think it was Friday.
There was an event league going on in Path of Exile because they delayed PoE 2 early access, and they're not going to release a league for a while. So kind of like Last Epoch's not going to release a league for a while. They're doing a reboot, sort of. But also it is pretty interesting considering they are basically doing Settlers League as a reboot event league, but also including like some of the stuff from Necropolis.
They didn't announce they were going to do that, did they? They
did, but they didn't fully announce the scope of what they did. So basically they said
really surprised people.
Yeah, so basically they were going to say that during Necropolis there was a league mechanic that had mixed reviews, where every time you went through a zone there was the God, I forget what it's called. Something of Aramor, like Lantern of Aramor. There you go. That's it. And it basically shows you all of the things that are in the next zone. And originally it had, positive or negative effects. And the more negative effects, the more positive effects you also had. And mostly people hated the negative effects. It felt bad. So and there was also a mechanic called All Flames that allowed you to completely swap a monster type in the zone. And you could like bring in monsters from Trials of the Ancients and fight various Karui gods entourages, or gymlings that had like a higher than normal chance of dropping gems, or sulfite golems that just give you tons of sulfite when you kill them. Like, that aspect was cool. The All Flames were really cool. The positive benefits of the Lantern of Aramor were also cool. Like, you could roll into a zone and there were just rolling chaos orbs as a mob type. And when you killed them, they dropped a chaos orb or a Val orb, or like there was some wild stuff that could happen. So what they've done is they've basically given Settlers League with the Lantern of Aramor, but it only has positive benefits, and it also has totally random All Flames applied. This creates some truly bizarre scenarios.
Like just crazy maps.
Like I'm still in the campaign, because the campaign is significantly more challenging than a normal campaign, because like imagine you're in an Act 1 zone and you're fighting the Titanic turtles from Trial of the Ancients League.
Yeah, I remember some of the Mayhem leagues in the past where it's like, hey, this has Delirium at level 3. Have fun.
Yeah, so like it has been fine. It's just slower progression than I would normally progress through the campaign. Like, here's an example. Okay, so Duresso's Arena in Act 3. Is it 4 or is it 3? 4? Okay, so normally Duresso's Arena is a bunch of the gladiatorial arena maps, and they've got like a wide variety of things that spawn in. Like, really diverse types of monsters that you face in those arenas. When I ran it, only 2 types of mobs were spawning. everything was either a sulfite golem or a dog. And the dogs were only spawning during the normal places. So it literally meant I was walking through every single arena and it was nothing but sulfite golems. It's been an interesting experience. Like, not that I think they will ever do this, but it would be kind of cool if the Lantern of Aramor went standard in this way. But it's also created some interesting, like, this is not a Void League. And for anyone that doesn't know what that means, like, sometimes GGG will run an event that is so extreme that they don't want it to skew standard. So they will void characters after the league. So basically, your character only exists during the league. It can't transfer out in any form. This is not a voided league. It has created some weird scenarios where they found that these random sequences aren't actually random. It's doing the thing they did in a different league where every hour the zones change what they're doing. So if you find that, like, T16 Cemetery is converting all drops to chaos, someone can say that in a chat channel, and I've joined Sir Gog's general or global chat so that I can hear, like, I can see, like, what the hot zone is basically at. But it's created these weird economic swings where, like, during that hour, that one map that has the hot drop is outrageously expensive for a short period of time.
Oh, that's funny. And because of the currency exchange, that can just happen in real time.
No, not with maps.
Right, maps are not fungible.
Maps are itemized. Yeah. But still, it's, like, kind of interesting where it's this scavenger hunt aspect where you're, like, legitimately, it benefits you to be in one of the themed global chats that's reasonable as people find things that are willing to share it. Yeah, like, I don't know how long the event runs. I don't know how far I'll actually make it. Like, I'm in Act 7 currently. I'm not really rushing through. Prices are kind of outrageous because when you find one of these unicorn maps, you can walk away with like 300 chaos and, I don't know, 5 exalts, something like that. But it's definitely interesting. Like, it is acting as comfort gaming for me because Path of Exile is very much comfort gaming. And Kodra, I sent you a build earlier. It is a bow build for you.
I did see this.
It is.
What
it is
sort
it
of
is,
bow build?
It's a bow build. It's ice shot mines.
Ice shot mines.
You build it like a bow character, but you're dropping mines.
Is it using the new Locust mines or is it using something else?
I don't remember if it's using Locust or I think it's just using mine support.
High impact. What's the go-to melee anymore these days? Is it still Bone Shatter?
No, it's
the last patch with a bunch of melee things definitely, like, the overexertion.
Mm-hmm.
Really sort of is defining the melee meta right now.
Oh, well, that's what I was doing when I was playing.
Yeah, like, basically, like, slam builds are good. Also, lots of different gladiator builds are good. The new hotness, though, is Lightning Strike, I think, is what all the people that used to play...
Everything old is new again.
Like, everybody that used to play Tornado Shot is now playing Lightning Strike.
Everything old is new again. Lightning Strike was the melee meta, quote-unquote melee, when I started looking at things seriously, and I think it met Kalandra.
I mean, all of those strike abilities are all kind of pretty fun.
Yeah, I've played Frostblades. I think it's quite good.
I think Frostblades of Catabasis is also a meta build.
That one's special. I haven't tried that one. I mean, obviously, it's one of the transfigured skills.
Right.
It leaves a dot puddle on the ground instead of, a strike. I mean, you also strike, but I think it's sort of replacing the previous cold dot stuff.
Yep. Yep, that's the impression I get as well. Is it is now it is doing what Vortex used to do.
Yeah, Vortex is. I'm actually kind of mad about that. I don't understand why Vortex had to die. I mean, I do sort of understand it. They removed everything else you could automate like that.
I'm still annoyed about that because it essentially took a button away from me. Since I use W for my movement key, like I'm already down a button. And I used to put things on my left mouse button just to have, the ability to bind to something since I wasn't using left mouse button for movement. But now it greatly limits what I can do with my left mouse button. But yeah, like it's interesting. Like I think it will be fun for a little while. I'm having fun. It's an interesting league. I would love it to see it go standard, but I don't think it will. But because like I always thought the all flame aspect of Necropolis was pretty cool.
I feel like I wouldn't be that surprised if it came in as like a map mod.
Yeah, something
or
like that.
Just something you can just randomly add on your Atlas.
Well, they added a whole slew of things that only appear in T16s. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Lantern of Aramor can just show up in T16s.
That's fair. Like that, yeah, because much like the Kalandra thing can only show up in T16s now.
Right. Like that mechanically gave them a lot of leverage to bring back chunks of League mechanics that weren't workable as, a truly standard implementation. Like I'd love to see them bring back Crucible weapons in some form or another.
Crucible weapons are never coming back.
I mean, they would have to water them down significantly if they ever brought them back.
As someone who was dumb enough to play a build that relied on a unique weapon in that league, yeah, it was a thing.
I'm kind of like sad I never played the Exploding Totem build.
You can play it in standard.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't have that kind of money.
Are you sure, Bell?
I'm pretty sure. Like standard inflation is outrageous.
Sure, but you also have everything left over from the guild bank from every league we've played in so far.
And I also have several Mage Bloods at this point. But still, standard economy is real weird. Other thing I messed around with this week is Brighter Shores launched at some point, I think on the 6th, into early access on Steam, where anybody can get into it. Brighter Shores is essentially a spiritual successor to RuneScape by the folks who originally created RuneScape, or some of the folks, Andrew Gower. And like RuneScape is a thing that it's a cultural touchstone that I completely missed. And I've always been interested in it just from a standpoint of this is a game that is very important to certain people. But it always seemed like the jankiest mess in the world to me. So I thought, well, maybe if this modern version of this comes out, because like this very much feels the same as all the Kickstarter MMOs that were launched by people that wanted to do the bestest version of the thing that they once did a long time ago.
That's not endearing.
I mean, yeah, like that's what this reminds me of. Just in the, and so I gave it a shot, and there's some weird stuff going on in this game. So essentially there are 2 chapters of the game that are free, and you have to pay a subscription fee to get chapters 3 and 4. So it is kind of your standard grind skill levels type game. And in chapter 1, you have a single attack profession called Guard. And you have fishing and foraging and cooking and apothecary, I think. And these are the things that you can level. And you have a little quest that's like walks you through gaining levels, and that you have to get like 15 levels of Guard. And it is very EverQuestian in the way that you level, where you have to find a specific zone that has a specific level of things that you can attack, and you just stand there and kill them every time they respawn.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. And
Is
you
this
don't.
a MMO?
Yeah, it's an MMO. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it's like RuneScape
It's
was,
RuneScape.
which is like it has a physical client, but everything you are doing you could play in a web browser. In fact, you don't ever really use your keyboard. You just use your mouse, which makes a lot of it super tedious to where, like, say you need to attack. Well, you then click on the thing, which brings up a dialogue tree. Then you have to choose attack, and then your character walks over to the thing and starts attacking it. And you have health bars, and damage doesn't persist between combats. So you basically like have your health bar and the enemy's health bar, and you just have to kill it before yours empties. So yeah, like it's weird, but the point at which I checked out. So chapter 1 is you're going through this whole sequence, and you have to gain 60 levels in various skills. So be that, in the combat profession, or foraging or fishing or alchemy or cooking. Any combination of levels in those things adds up to an additive 60. And that is the you must be this tall to pass through the gate into the next chapter. When you move into the second chapter, it's essentially re-rolling.
Oh.
Because all of the
Weird.
professions that are associated with chapter 1 don't exist in chapter 2. And all of your gear that you've gained in chapter 1 becomes invalidated in chapter 2, and you're starting from scratch. And instead of guard, you have a scout combat profession now, and you have other things that you're trying to level.
Well, that's a choice.
This makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you level the things any further than you need to in chapter 1 if when you move to chapter 2, none of that matters anymore? And I'm only assuming that chapter 3 and chapter 4 are going to be the same way. What the hell were they thinking for a design model? People like leveling things, but also they like having benefit from those things.
It does feel like a weird choice.
Yeah. And you also can't change any keybinds or anything. Like you can't add keybinds to things to make combat work more smoothly, or and inevitably, as you're going through these loops, you can farm down all the available nodes way faster than they respawn. So you spend a lot of time just waiting on a thing to spawn. It is very MMO from another era. So maybe I've had the RuneScape experience. I don't know.
I mean, sounds like you have.
Yeah. So would not recommend.
Oh.
It is kind of cool looking for a weird tile-based, isometric MMO from that era, but it just, I don't know. I don't know that it works in for current sensibilities. So GeekGirlCon was today?
GeekGirlCon is this weekend, so I went with my whole family. We had a good time. It was definitely very low-key this year, but probably a big highlight for us was the video game area. There were a whole bunch of indie games that we got to demo, and a lot of them were a lot of fun.
I hear that some local studios were doing career building events too.
I was going to say, I do know that at least a local studio is doing a career building event tomorrow. And there's also Wizards is there. They're like, hey, show off your portfolio. We're looking for aspiring Magic artists. But yes, I know ArenaNet is there specifically tomorrow, to help with career building. There was a lot of here's a retrospective of what it was like to launch my indie game. I did want to call out a couple of indie games that I got to demo and I now have downloaded on Steam and I'm playing their demos. and they're a lot of fun. Project Cradle is an interesting take on sort of the Sonic formula, and it's doing a couple of interesting things I really appreciate. Like, what if you had Sonic's speed, but with like the ability to do a like midair dashes, where you like when you enter the dash button, like you kind of freeze time and like get to determine which direction you're going to be dashing. And then a lot of like the momentum play is like, hey, there's a bunch of obstacles in your way that are colored either green, blue, or purple, and you need to be moving fast, faster, or fastest in order to break through those. Do you want a game about going fast? Yeah, this is a game that feels like going fast really matters to it. And I feel like sometimes Sonic is a game where you feel like you are going fast up until the levels where it's like, now it's time for you to go very slow.
I feel like modern Sonic games have far fewer of those levels.
That's true.
Like, yes, okay, Sonic 1, maybe not actually that great of a game, but like modern Sonic games are less about that.
But and I'll grant it, I haven't finished Sonic Mania, but does Sonic Mania not enter that problem later on?
I'm not going to say it doesn't have some levels like that. Even has some versions of levels like that aren't like that in the games they came from.
Like, that's just kind of the thing, is like, the game always wants to figure out, okay, what's the way that we can ratchet up, like, this feels like a step up in difficulty without slowing it down. And I think that there's like, definitely this game is playing with a little bit more of the interesting angles of like, hey, maybe you need to like retry this because you weren't going fast enough.
So I know some people have said Hydro City Zone in Sonic 3 is the only good water level in Sonic. Sonic Mania reuses it, but adds auto-scrollers to it, making it definitely a challenge to keep that title.
But yeah, I also picked up the demo for Clockwork Ambrosia, which is kind of doing a bit of a Metroidvania type of gameplay in their demo. And it's fun and it feels pretty good. So this is more on the Metroid than the Vania, but there's a lot of these have some finicky like things that still need to be ironed out. And like I had a couple of conversations with the devs, and they were like, oh yeah, we've got future branches where like all of this is getting changed, but they're not ready yet. But like the actual gameplay is, other than the menuing, the gameplay is really polished. Like it feels very good to play and move around in these worlds. One I saw that I feel like, Ash, you might be interested in is Feltopia. The idea is that they're using stop motion with like little felt figures to create almost like a Yoshi's Woolly World, but with like stabbed felt, but it's a shmup.
What?
Not like a really serious shmup. It's definitely a more casual shmup, but it's still a shmup. And like you're flying around as a magical, I want to say unicorn, casting spells at the darkness and like trying to protect your sheep.
Oh, so a cute 'em up.
I believe they did call it a cute 'em up, or
that is a thing. Like that is a Japanese
term.
genre.
Okay.
Like Cotton and Parodius and
to a certain level, Twinkle Star Sprites.
Yeah.
Although that game is brutal. I don't know if you've ever played that game or not.
Yeah, Twinbee to some extent, like some of the levels.
I am unfamiliar with this entire concept. I was totally unfamiliar with it at the booth, and I was like, this is adorable.
No, they're great. Like, and they are varying degrees of difficulty. like there are some of them that are just as hardcore as any other shoot 'em up, but this is and some of them are fairly chill, but
the art style is definitely very striking. Cause yeah, like the entire booth was covered in a bunch of like stabbed felt figurines that they had used as part of like the game's production. And then the other game I played was Unstable Scientific, which is also trying to be a little bit of like a physics platformer, but with a like shooting element to it. I'm not 100% sure it works, but like every time I play this game, I think, oh, this game was pretty fun to play. So I'm going to keep finding. Like they were at GeekGirlCon last year, and they were a lot of fun there too. So I'm keeping my eyes on them. We also did a concert, which started with a rendition of what is it? Sleeping in the Dark Deep Below from Warframe. The like space shanty. And so my kids loved that, and now that song has replaced the Wellerman as the shanty that they want us to put on repeat when we're in the car. Because apparently my kids like shanties.
Warframe has several of these.
It has several songs. Does it have several shanties?
I mean, We All Pull Together is kind of a shanty.
We All Pull Together is a Union song.
Fair.
And I did play.
I don't think Sleeping in the Dark Below is that different.
There's definitely a different quality to it. I played We All Live Together for them, and they didn't like that. And they were like, put on the other one.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh, well.
That's like the best one.
That's my thought. And they're like, no, we want the Dark Below. My daughter was particularly insistent.
Do we know when 1999 comes out?
Didn't it come out like 2 weeks ago or something?
Did it? Okay. Like I remember there being a beta for it, but I didn't think it was actually out.
It does not have a date yet. Like their date is December 2024.
Okay.
With no strong date. I definitely I need to catch up in that game because I am behind quite a bit, in fact, at this point.
Yes, me too.
Fine on which?
Warframe.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. Because 1999, their future past.
I have no idea what that even. I've seen the trailer, but that trailer did not fill me in any way.
It's like a whole alternate game mode kind of thing, I think.
It's the next step in the story either way, but I'm really unsure.
But yeah, I'm excited. It was a really fun GeekGirlCon. I might go again tomorrow. We'll see. We also I got to hold insects of various sorts. They were putting the tarantula away when I got there, but I did hold a vinegaroon, which was very interesting.
Kind of, scorpion-like thing.
Yeah, aka a whip scorpion.
AKA a whip scorpion. Why would that be called a whip scorpion?
I don't know. The tail?
It doesn't have a really defined tail. Its tail is, I'm gonna spit vinegar at things. Yes. It's definitely a creepy little crawler, though.
I mean, I think some of them have more of a tail than others, so...
Yeah, some of them have, basically, I don't know, like a flagella type tail looking thing.
This one had, additional limbs for, detection. It was a weird beast.
Yeah, the claws are real small.
Really tiny claws.
And the feelers are significantly larger.
Yes, the feelers are very large. I don't know. They seemed a lot more comfortable letting us handle the vinegaroon and the tarantula than the scorpions they had.
I would feel more comfortable handling a tarantula or vinegaroon than a scorpion. So that tracks.
Yeah. Fair. But yeah,
I might skip all of those things.
Like I think for the tarantula, I would have to kind of like, go inside myself into my mind palace and be like, it's okay. It can't hurt me. It's okay. But the scorpion can hurt me, so maybe
It
no.
is its nature.
Yeah, and the problem with scorpions though is like the big ones are terrifying, but the big ones aren't going to probably kill you. The little ones will. Little ones have more potent venom usually.
That was one of the interesting comments though, was I wonder if there's something related to that, but like apparently scorpions are exceptionally good mothers as long as their kids leave them out before 2 molts. That was the new factoid I got, is that scorpions will definitely care for their young, but like scorpions, once a scorpion has molted twice, they cease to be the young and they become potential food in the eye of the scorpion mother.
So failure to launch is particularly bad idea for scorpion children. All right.
Yes. But yeah, GeekGirlCon. Local conventions are fun. Got to see a lot of local vendors as well.
I mean, I'm happy this is a show that's thriving, given that like the first few years of any show are always the roughest.
I was gonna say, I think GeekGirlCon's a little bit more established. I actually should check to see.
Like, I'm pretty sure you talked about going to the first one on this show years ago at this point.
Was that the first one? Oh, maybe I don't think it was.
Maybe it wasn't. Like, I thought it was the first one. Because, like, I had friends that were going to be vendors at it. And I thought that was the first one.
Maybe. Oh, it only goes back to 2016, so you might be right.
Yeah, I thought it was about a decade.
Elliot, we have an old show at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was gonna say, you know what next episode is?
500.
500 episodes.
Like, we should do something for that,
guys,
but
if you're listening, just understand that we've got like a background conversation we've been planning for months, all of the things we're going to do for our 500th episode. So get really hyped up.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely a thing that really exists. Believe it.
I mean, I've had these
Is this our
thoughts.
500th episode?
No, next week.
No, next week.
Next episode.
Yeah, like I've had those thoughts, but also like, I don't know. It's not really our vibe to plan something out like that.
It's definitely not our vibe to plan something out like that.
Definitely not our vibe to plan much of anything.
The fact that any of us put, topics on the show notes is like a miracle.
That is how we get topics for the show. It's like the only organized thing we do.
And it took a while for us to get there.
It did, yes.
Like, I was going to talk about Veilguard, but I don't know that everyone is far enough along to really talk about Veilguard. I have not finished Veilguard.
I need to figure out how to get my controller to work with Veilguard.
Why is it not working?
I don't know. All of the buttons are wrong.
Wow.
Weird.
That's no good.
Is there a Steam community input for it that might fix it?
Maybe.
You're trying to use a Switch controller, right?
I am.
Okay. I've had all manner of weirdness happen when attempting to use Switch controllers that aren't the official Pro controller with Steam games.
Same. I have a little hoary Switch controller that I can never get to have the correct button mapping.
This is like the first week, like, it feels weird because I've been doing so well with this controller for so long, so I'm kind of surprised that I'm starting to have this problem.
Yeah, there's a controller that I've got that from GeekGirlCon. I think that's how you say the name. The folks that make the Hall Effect stick replacements for like every other controller on the market, they released a pretty nice Switch controller that's it's really comfortable, and I have hell with like half the games trying to play with it and I just give up and plug in an Xbox controller. And I'm pretty sure it's like it registers as a Switch Pro controller, but it's like faking it out, and it's not really one. I think there's shenanigans at play where it's trying to masquerade as a thing it's not. But usually Steam input is so good at just working with things. That was a whole topic that like I had as a side discussion on Mastodon this week, was like why I am loyal to Steam is because of all the stupid little things that they do that most people don't even notice.
A built-in screenshot tool, as of recently a built-in recording tool.
Right, exactly. That was the thing that triggered this, was like there's just now OBS for Steam sort of kind of thing. And like there's just so many of those features. And then I had developer friends chime in that's like rattling off other systems that they rely on to publish their indie games. You know, that I guess they just publish like an IP masquerading service so that you can obfuscate like a player's IP while playing a game so that you can't DDoS them. It's just a thing that exists as part of Steamworks.
I did look it up. We have been going since the very first GeekGirlCon. Yeah, GeekGirlCon 2016.
I thought so.
Yeah, I'm glad the convention definitely took a hit since the pandemic. Like cons.
Most conventions did.
Most conventions did.
Yeah.
This is the last convention I've been to that's still like mask required, which I don't mind. Although it's a little rough on my daughter, who doesn't understand what masking is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's a little young for that, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, like that's got to be a hard concept to even explain.
Yeah, it's rough with little kids.
Anyone have any other topics?
I am going to be streaming for the SudokuCon stream, I want to say the 26th. It's going to be a late one. It's like 11 p.m. Pacific to 2:15 a.m. Pacific. But I'm going to be streaming a Sudoku Celeste speedrun. The concept is I have to solve a Sudoku puzzle while speedrunning each level of Celeste. This definitely means that my Celeste skills matter more or less depending on the level.
Right.
Because then my Sudoku, like, I beat the first level in like a minute 30. There is no Sudoku I'm solving in a minute 30, so I might as well take my time. But Summit I'm going to still be pushing pretty hard on. So I'm going to start practicing Summit and Chapter 6 a whole bunch. Probably 5, 6, and 7 a whole bunch, since that's most of the speedrun anyways.
That sounds like some nonsense.
It'll be fun!
Fun nonsense.
Potentially even some shenanigans. That's probably show as I look at the clock. Any final thoughts?
I am still obsessed with rhythm games and finished a Sound Volters controller. Because why not, right?
If you were waiting to play Rogue Trader because you'd heard there were a bunch of bugs, they have fixed everything I have run into. And there are a dizzying number of outcomes.
I will once again reiterate, ignore the naysayers. Veilguard is a perfectly great game.
I have been enjoying it. I'm still collecting companions, but I'm definitely enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yep.
I had a discussion earlier today about the other 3 Dragon Age games. They've all got some problems, let's say, but like it's a good series.
Yep.
I think it would be a less good series if it had been made and didn't have these problems, actually. It definitely falls into it is ambitious, and yeah, sometimes it trips over itself, but that ambition works really well elsewhere.
Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.